Hey, how's it going? I have a few cards, and, well, I have something on my mind, several somethings. That's what's made it kind of hard to figure out what I wanted to even say here, but I did start writing a piece. That usually unlocks the confusion or lets some order descend on all of the thoughts flying around. And what I started with is, oh, hold on, I gotta go to the first page, was the title, which is, where'd it go? Found it. The title is, oh, you don't like woke? And the reason why that is the title, what is happening with my shirt, is because I noticed that there are a lot of people that are anti-woke, like self-proclaimed anti-woke. And I started thinking about, well, what does that mean? What does it mean? Do I have something under my shirt with me? Oh, you know what? I do. There. This shirt I have under has a hood. Has a hood that came out kind of blurry. Okay, so, anyway. What does anti-woke mean? You know, beyond, like, the stretching and, torturing of that word from its inception to everything it has become co-opted to become in between to now, at the root of it, it still means the opposite of sleep. Or woke is the opposite of sleep. So if you're anti-woke, you are like dedicatedly unconscious or something, I guess. And when I thought of it in those terms, a lot of people would have said, I already thought that about people like that said they were anti-woke, like just they were asleep. But that could mean so many things to say they were asleep. There is I don't even know what to call it. Whatever is happening right now, it's not just one thing. And so it is like the gradual collapse of a lot of things. Sometimes it's like, if you've ever been to the ocean and you try to build a sandcastle and the water comes in and it just kind of melts it away, and the way that it falls is not violent at all. It just sort of, just like, it's like, okay, I'm wet, I give up. Like, whatever structural strength it had before the water came along, which, again, I don't know if you've done this at the ocean. The structural strength is usually not great, and I'm not talking about professional sand sculptors. I'm talking about anyone from a toddler to my age that's just sitting there kind of like making a peak or a mound in the sand, you know, at the water's edge where it can't come in, and you gotta move fast. Like, you gotta build your building fast, or the water's gonna come in and take it away, or not even take it away, like just return it to the state it was before you started pushing it around and molding it. Why am I talking about that? So, oh yes, the structural strength. Not a lot there, is my point. So, God, why did I go there? Well, anyway, the structural collapse that is like what we are going through right now. There's, all these various currents, undercurrents, overcurrents, whatever you want to call it. Like for us in the United States, like before I turn this on, everybody is talking about the war in Iran. And, well, there are a lot of takes on that. There are a lot of perspectives. I'm not paying so much attention to voices. I'm sort of making my own considerations on the matter, like conclusions. That's not to say that I'm not listening to anyone at all, but that's not, like, I feel like there's more going on than just certainly what the news is going to tell you, which, if I watch mainstream media, it's on the internet, so it's a clip. But I spend more time watching people on podcasts sort of involved with the situations where they have knowledge somehow or experience dealing with what we're talking about, or, what the subject is. And I get a lot of information that way. So, you have to temper. I feel like I have to temper, what I'm consuming as far as information, because a lot of times it's just opinion and it's propaganda, or it's just plain wrong on purpose. Like, if you really have to sort of prepare like a base of knowledge to sort of refer to, just to make sure that what you're hearing has any basis in truth. So that's a lot of work. But then, when there's pictures, they don't have to tell you stuff if you already know some of what's going on. The pictures you'll see will tell you terrible stories. But I was watching something right before I turned the camera on here, and they were talking about war of attrition, the host of this show. And he defined it, and his definition was that the person in the war that has the more power over their opponent is the one having the war of attrition, or something like that. But they were making it sound like, and everyone makes it sound like, the U.S. is the bigger power, and for sure Iran is getting it from the U.S. and from Israel, and now they've started hostilities with other nations in the area, so probably they're getting slammed by them too. But what I thought was pretty masterful on the part of the Iranians, they've had a lot of loss of life. They've had a lot of loss of life at the hands of their own leaders. But that's something that they got going on. Like, that's their thing. That's not necessarily to do with the war, unless it was chosen as part of a, like, this is where we can hit them. This is a weakness that they have that'll be to our benefit. Like, that's how I see it being war gamed. Like, what their own struggles that were already happening were doing. And then those were exacerbated by, why does anyone listen to the man? Why do they think he says true stuff? I don't. So anyway, words were said and more problems were started. I wish we would have just stayed out of it. It's really, we were like not having, what did the guy say that just left, Joe Kent? There was no like visible thing to worry about. So we know that's going on, but Iran, even though they got hammered, what they did was they have control of the strait. And I'm sorry, I feel like that's a bigger hand at the poker table than what the U.S. is holding, especially since, oh God, he tried to like hire NATO to come help him, and it's like, I feel like that's like a regular way that employees get treated in the Trump organization. Let me just crap on you 24/7, but hey, get over here, clean up the crap I just crapped on you. And the other nations are like, no thank you. We do not want to do that. You made the crap, you have to walk around in it or clean it up or whatever you're doing over there. That's all you. And I get it. Like, the name calling and accusations of things that are just like not even, they're completely unsubstantiated and untrue. Oh man, it's like painful to watch us in this position in front of the world, and this guy is like, I want everybody to see me show my ass. There are decisions being made that belong or came from the past, like mentality of the way to fight a war or have a war or start a war. Like, we know so little about what took place in order to make us go from not being in a war with those people to overnight bombing them people. Like, whoa, wait, whoa. Whiplash so bad, owie, owie. So, I feel like the anti-woke and the not wanting to be awake to the reality, like, you can come to the table with all of these antiquated prejudices and biases, but I feel like no one in the administration is making moves that are like in sync with reality. Like, it's like we're a comic book or like some kind of fictional thing where they really believe like we can just go in and say anything to these other countries, because in the not too distant past we were sort of like, I don't know, the biggest, loudest, top of the hierarchy in sort of the Western, alliance, or even NATO, but generally in the West, like, everybody's like, yeah, we're cool, generally, except for us. We don't know how to behave. We don't know how to keep our hands to ourselves. This is not a new phenomenon, what happened in Venezuela. The U.S. has a tradition almost of feeling like it could just go mess around in other countries, particularly the ones south of us in South America. And it's like, I think the world got fed up and we're just like, we're sick of this dynamic. You people are ridiculous. I think we were like already at a tipping point with the rest of the world's tolerance with us, and then along came the past 10 years and 2 Trump elections, and it's like, man, like the Tasmanian devil cartoon, just tearing up everything in the world, and everything he touches, because he has everybody gets pink eye for everybody. So I think that is what the anti-woke thing is the times they are changing, and the status quo wants to stay the status quo, but what they're doing instead, especially with having all these sort of not really politicians and not really learned on history or social stuff, like realities, like, you can have your opinions, but when you're in charge of like departments that have a direct effect on individuals, you can't be all like, I'm going to help these people because I like them, and I'm not going to help those because I don't like them, they're bad and wrong, like whatever it is. Like, You don't have a job and do that, or at least that didn't used to be the case. It feels like that's how it is now, because a lot of the staffing now comes from places where they're like just jammed into positions they have absolutely no training for. They don't know what to do when they're in there. They seriously, like, these people barely know how to do anything, it feels like, then head a company, whatever that looks like, but probably not like being on the line, doing physical labor, spending hours behind a desk, dealing with papers you don't want to deal with. I feel like to a degree there's that, but I feel like a lot is handed off to other people. And so now they're in a place where traditionally work got done by people that had knowledge and a certain background to enter the world stage and jump into a job that they have training for, actually, but the training enables them to not only deal with the people, their colleagues and their constituency, they also can deal with like world matters and world leaders and diplomats and military leaders, like whatever it is. But these people are like they're all like, I am the king, you have to do things my way because I am rich and I am better than you and I know better than you. And it's like, it's turned out, no, you don't. Because I was like, did you send somebody to school for you too? I know some people have. Some people have their whole families done that way, educational wise. So, hence the quagmire that we're in. It's like, everybody can't be at the top of the pyramid. Everybody can't be the king or whatever, because they all want everything. And that is why stuff is breaking. That's why systems are breaking. It's that, and time is rolling on. Progress is like, we're going to leave you people behind if you don't catch up. So they don't want to catch up or wake up. They're anti-woke. They want things to stay the same. And they're not getting their way, but they are making as big of a fuss and a mess as they possibly can. Like, I don't know if it's conscious, or I feel like a lot of it isn't conscious. I feel like it's, again, they're anti-woke. They do not want to open their eyes to what is happening, that they're losing their grip on something that is old, expired, obsolete. Like, give it up. You're running into problems and there's violence happening, and people are against what you guys want because we're over it. It is over. Like, get out of the past and join the rest of us, because the resistance is causing a lot of problems. There's also the file thing that, everyone says, well, this is distracting from that, or is meant to be a distraction from that. Perhaps, but I feel like there's more to it because history, and there's like loot to be gained there somehow. Excuse me. So, that doesn't sound very positive, really. So, like, what I was writing, I feel like it's gonna, like, go further and move into a more positive area, but I did stop because I'm getting a headache, and I'm tired, and I'm still sick, and I want to go to sleep. But I have some cards, and I want to quickly go through those. So, the first card is karmic relationships. And then you see the two people, and they're worlds apart. But look how similar the worlds are. Like, down to the color and the stripes of those cloudy-looking areas that they're both standing on one of, by the way. They're both standing on a stripe of cloud. They're so close, so similar, so close-minded, you would think, but separate for whatever reason. I didn't take out the book. Well, you know what? I'm not going to use the book right now. I'm just going to go with it. So the subtitles on here are Orion Energy, Polarity, Soul Growth, Conflict. Well, what I was just describing before I started with the cards is that soul growth and conflict. That is the past people, the future is walking away without you. You just can't, don't be stuck over here. You know, don't be like, you literally are on like the same planet, but you're worlds apart in like, hey, come on, this is happening, and you're over there still trying to do dinosaur shit. Dinosaur shit, petroleum, that's what that is. But, so yeah, we have it's funny that soul growth is before conflict, because I feel like that comes after the conflict, the soul growth, but hey, I didn't, I'm just using these as a tool. I'm not responsible for what's actually written upon them. Okay, so next card is Breath of the Cosmos. And I do need the book for that. Pardon my armpit. Okay. Here, let's take a look at it actually. I'm not I'm not sure what's happening here. Wow, what the heck? Okay, so on this card, I'm gonna let you look at it. Sit there. As you can see, they're again in space, and so these could be those odd cloud-looking artifacts that I think are plasma, called plasma in space. But what they really look like are human figures. And so one is like somebody laying down here, and there's one here that is actually breathing. You can see like golden breath coming out of them, breathing onto this person lying down, and then someone else in like a cloak and a hood in the background. Like, it almost looks like they have something in their hand, like a caveman that was the fire tender. They'd have like a seashell or something, and they'd walk around with a burning ember, and like their whole role was to keep that ember going. So I don't think it's that, but it reminds me of that. Like, you could, some rituals and ceremonies, I want to say ceremonies are, I feel like, a more beneficent type thing, and then a ritual, I feel like you have to be real careful with those. Like you better know what you're doing, or you could accidentally do something you don't mean to do, and that is why I don't fool with that stuff, really. So, anyway, it seems like whoever this person is back here, they're taking part in this ceremony, but it seems like this person they need breath like CPR or something, and like maybe this is like an aromatic to clear airways, so I don't know what that means. What more look-see for you. Okay, and so the book is gonna say, let's see, Breath of the Cosmos. Alright, here we go. Breath of the Cosmos, and the subtitles are My Will to Thy Will, Micromanaging the Universe. I am confused. When we rely only on our own will, we're micromanaging the universe and resisting the natural flow of life. Well, I've talked about that before. Don't do it. That's my advice. Let me just keep reading. We're not trusting the mysterious breath of life. We're rejecting the great cosmic intelligence and relying instead on our personal strength. Don't let the world turn. The anti-woke don't want to let the world turn. Wow, okay, so yeah, that's them, like, interfering with letting the world turn, and it's causing problems, because stuff that's meant to happen is running into resistance, and, I don't know, the gears are clashing or something. Or breaking, actually. Threatening, if you don't have teeth on the gears, then there's nothing to, regulate the speed of something, and it just could, if it goes too fast, it could burn out. This happens in, like, car engines and small electric engines. If they, like, overwind really fast, it, like, screws up the engine. Anyway, when we do this, we find ourselves attempting to bend things to our will. We spend our time forcing, pushing, and living from a space of trying to. Do you feel like that war is kind of really try hard? I mean, it might be trying to distract from the files thing, but I almost feel like the files thing themselves is another distraction. I'm going to get there. Everyone around us can feel it, and the universe can too. The forcing, pushing, and living from a space of trying to force. You're being called to stop micromanaging the universe and trust the breath of life, to surrender to the greater will that God has for you, to move from my will to thy will. And when you surrender to the greater will of life, you begin dancing with the rest of life. When you bow to the great mystery and say, please use me, please show me the way, little by little you find yourself living your most fulfilling, authentic life. So, that's interesting, it's talking about not interfering with the flow of things, and we are control-minded animals. It is really hard for us to just let stuff be. And it is probably one of the hardest things to be conscious of what you want and what you see that you think needs to be done or not. It is so difficult for us to just, like, not lift a finger and interfere. And we should know better, because I don't know if we should know better, because if you repeatedly do it and it screws up your life, like, interfere with something that was already going your way, you kind of push it out of alignment with what you actually want and probably have asked for or prayed for, or however you do these things. And then not just like said, okay, I made my desire known. Now I can go shut up and do something else instead of worrying at it and picking at it and checking the clock every minute and checking the phone every minute, Like, find something to do, get your mind on something else, and then things work out as they're supposed to, which is maybe not how you envisioned it, but a different way that ended up being better, because you know what? Spirit knows better than we do, and that's why you don't interfere. Back to the book. When you surrender to the greater will of life, you begin dancing along with the rest of life. When you bow to the great mystery and say, please use me, oh, please show me the way. Little by little, you find yourself living your most fulfilling, authentic life. When you surrender your personal will, when you relinquish control and release the way you think things should be, and surrender to the greater will, you find yourself being led. You begin breathing the breath of life. Well, I'm glad I said the part that I said about, like, just being hands-off and letting things happen, because you will find a lot that you're not going to get things that you wanted exactly the way you wanted them, but you do end up with something that's just as good or better. What? Am I being held up? I don't know. Okay, Starseed activation. You're gonna make me whisper again. Place the card on the portal of your heart and whisper the following. The willing stop relying. Oh, I'm willing to stop relying on my own strength and personal agenda and instead surrender to the breath of life. Dear God, help me move my will to thy will. Please lead me. Please show me the way. I know that probably sounds really scary to people, but we tell ourselves a lot of things that I think end up being wrong. Like, this is like the one instance where you can just like let go and trust, you know. So, okay, here's the last card. Oh, my head is hurting. Why? It is New Earth. Interesting. So I'm not sure if the person is standing on a new earth or looking at a new earth. And the reason why I say that is because the first thought I had when I looked at this card, when I picked up this card, was I was looking for a portal, because there's so many cards in this deck that have a portal, but I don't see one, which then led me to think, oh, so she's already stepped through. And if you remember yesterday, was it yesterday? Day before yesterday, my last video, was it the last one? Ooh, I don't know. It was before this one, but there was a woman standing at a portal/doorway, and I was like, she's hesitating. I just felt like she'd been standing there for a while, and I was like, go, this is what you're supposed to be doing. So I feel like this is that person, differently clothed, but she's through. She's still, there's some kind of gunk on my phone, but she's stepped through, and this is what she's looking at. And, you know, maybe what she's looking at is the new earth. Like, the picture is metaphorical for the purposes of this, what I'm doing. And so you could, in theory, be, like, inside of yourself and on the earth that's floating up above her head, as well as project yourself outward away from it and look on. You understand what I mean? So, yeah, I think that, you know, she's been there a minute. She's been able to change out of her dark clothing and into something more suitable and appropriate. Like, apparently it's warm enough there to be scantily clad at the beach. But I feel like it's got a lot of positive stuff going for it. So let's see what the book says. New Earth. I'm confused. Oh, there it is. Oh, it's a new Earth. That's why I couldn't find it. Okay. Alright, here we go. A new Earth. Subtitles are, it's happening. Keep holding the vision. Outside of her head, seeing herself, seeing the Earth. Holding the vision. Oh. Ah. Oh, wait. Oh. That took forever. Sorry. Stop. There. Oh, okay. Ooh, dizzy now. Okay. Here. Don't give up now. You're closer than you think. No, it's hard to hold the frequency of a new age when it feels as if so much is crumbling and so many are losing faith. That is the period we're going through right now. Everybody's like freaking out because stuff's falling apart, and it's like doom and gloom and fear, but no, not really. A lot of times the spiritualists will describe the period that we're in right now as like going through giving birth, which has like calm periods and then painful screaming periods. And I've never had that experience personally, so I'm going off of what everybody else has seen on TV. So, I mean, okay, sure, that's the analogy, I guess. But you have to admit, like, the clinging to the old ways while new ways are trying to emerge is tumultuous. It is making for exciting times, that's for sure. Okay, this is your sign that you're facing the right direction. You have a great gift in being able to see the potential of things before they exist. Tend to the new seeds. Dream them into existence. Don't lose faith now. Keep your focus fixed. Planting new seeds and bringing about a shift of the ages is no mean feat. It requires extreme trust and a radical vision. If you pull this card, it's a reminder to have faith. You chose to be here to be part of this global shift. Whether you're bringing it about through prayer and meditation or through working on a new project, job, or creation, keep going. It's happening. Don't give up now. The world needs more dreamers like you, more people with hope in their hearts. The road ahead may not be plain sailing. Ushering in a new age in times of change never is. And you know, it's interesting that this is so sure about what they're saying here, because what I have learned from the channels that I've heard over and over is that this place is, this planet is a place where you come and live in paradise or hell. Like, it is what you make it. The reality is what you make it here. It's not like just America gave you the option of the American dream where if you could dream it, you could be it. That's this whole place. There's an ant. Anyway, so, I mean, I think that's what they're talking about, like planting new seeds and just seeing the potentials for what could be, you know, instead of worrying about clinging to what was. That's all, like, meant to be debris to get cleaned up and moved out of the way, mud flooded, if you will. I'm disturbed by the ant because I don't like to do this, but I put out ant baits. I mean, I would like to just leave them be, but you can't. They want to get in like all of your food stuff, so you can't have them in. I didn't put it. I put the bait on this counter, but the ant's over here and the bait's over there. I don't know. Anyway, distracted. Sorry about that. We'll need people like you already read that. The road ahead may not be plain sailing. Ushering in a new age in times of change never is. You're being encouraged to remember that what you've been working toward for so long is almost here. Okay, so now I have to interrupt myself again and talk about that. So, the thing that you've been working so long for me, since, like, in this lifetime at least, I didn't, like, really wake up to what's happening as far as, like, being an empath and as far as the shift and all of the paranormal stuff and all of the side by side with the paranormal, the normal, like, just everything that life is, and, like, seeing the Matrix movie, like that one, I liked it because I like sci-fi, but I didn't immediately get that it was like some sort of life parallel about being trapped in some dimension. The Truman Show, I got that from way more, but I still wasn't applying it to like, oh, that's telling me that they're actually talking about life. So, but there's so much more to it. Like, speaking of those files that I mentioned earlier, I saw, well, a number of things now that point to this, but for sure, there was a video. I don't even remember, or I can't tell you where it was from because it was one of those things that I believe it was embedded in a video of a bunch of stuff, so there was no titles were named, you know. So I don't know what it was, but it was obvious. And the narration, I think, talked about it, but it was a scene of some young black women. Some of their faces were blurred, some not. And they were sitting at like an outdoor, like, looked like a plastic round table you might see at a beach or a takeout restaurant or something. And there was a older guy sitting with them. And there was someone with him too, but they were like blurred out too. But you could see there were other people there, and they were older than these women, these young women. Like they'd have to be like early 20s at the most. They were definitely less. A couple of them, at least a 17-year-old or two. And so they were sitting across from these adults, and I don't know if they told you that there was it was like some kind of, I guess they did. It was like some kind of seminar or something where they like lured the young people in, I guess. And it was like for modeling, I think, which is getting a terrible rap now, which we're learning from those E-Files and that Jean-Claude Brunel guy. Like that was bad with the models. And so we're seeing more and more of that come out to where we're like, oh, okay, these are connecting as something that's true finally. And so yeah, so what's come out of that's connected to what I'm saying is, oh God, I might have lost my track. Okay. So it was like some place where rich people were meeting like young amateur whatever models, I guess. And so this guy is talking to them, and I don't know what he was hopped up on, but he could barely keep his butt in the seat, and he was like leaning across the table and leering and smiling at these girls. Like, I think they were made nervous by him, but they were just trying to keep like a smiling face because they wanted a modeling job. And he was saying that he was complimenting them on their bodies and their builds and like getting all eugenics and weird, talking about, oh, you have so much stamina and good health and you're such great athletes. And then you see the girls getting uncomfortable, and I think they're still not really getting it, but they're like disturbed, unless at that moment that I noticed that on their faces, they were realizing the same thing I was, which was, this is way too much like that movie Get Out. And the reason why I mentioned that is because those movies that seem so similar to reality, Eyes Wide Shut, very much based on reality. So we're talking more than a kernel with this stuff. I don't know why I brought that up. I've lost track now. But I'm just going to go back to the book here and continue. You've been encouraged to remember that you've been working to... Oh, now I remember. God, that wasn't even what I meant to talk about when I saw this. So you've been working so long. Where is it? You've been working toward... You're being encouraged to remember what you've been working toward for so long. It's almost here. So, one lifetime... is that like working so long to sort of put an end to the type of thing that is in like those e-files or other terrible areas of like forcing people to do things and forcing reality and trying to force history and all kinds of things. Like, it's just this whole like what is the word? It's what they carry with them. It's like their motto or something like that. We have to live to this standard of we want to like use other people that don't have the money and power that we do for whatever we want, like in bad ways, in terrible ways. And I think in a moment, oh, anyway, but one lifetime working to put an end to that type of thing, it doesn't seem like a long time at all. But when you think of it in terms of having, like, this is one of many times that you've incarnated, which it's gonna, I think, go on to talk about here, then yeah, you could have been waiting since the time of, Jesus' birth in Galilee for stuff to happen. This lifetime, I feel like, people waited so many lifetimes since back then to now and passed away and didn't see it happen. So it's like, you're here, finally, this is the one, this is the lifetime that you've been working so hard toward. Like, yes, multiple lifetimes, that sounds like hard working toward something. And I think that's what it's referring to. Okay, so don't question yourself now. Don't waver. Dig your devotion deep. For if you do, in the not-too-distant future, you'll be able to sit back and watch all that you've so carefully planted and nurtured grow and bloom. It's possible. Keep focusing on your dreams. You're closer than you think. Starseed Soul Inquiry. How do you keep holding the vision? Well, the best way, I think, is not to think of it in terms of how many lifetimes you came here and lived through some shit to only have the thing that you were waiting for and working toward never materialize. You want to talk about keeping the faith? Coming back over and over after that happened. That takes some serious fortitude, in my opinion. Okay, how am I doing on time here? I'm good enough. I'm going to stop. Oh my goodness. Thank you, and good night.